that actually leads me to the next question is, can we ever look forward to friendly Thargoid interactions? Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Pilot live stream. Thank you for joining us today. And of course, we do have a very special guest that we're very lucky to be able to talk to so close to the release of the Odyssey Alpha. And I'm not going to waste anybody's time here at all. We've got a lot to get through. Ladies and gentlemen, Elite's lead community manager, Arthur Tolmie.
Hello. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, no. Your camera has disappeared from the overlay.
Oh, no. You saved them all. You saved them all from my face.
Oh, no. Okay. There it is. There you go. Okay, cool. We're hiccup is over. We're good. You're right. You did curse us. You did.
I warned you in advance. Like it's whenever I'm on the stream, something goes wrong. And true to my word, I have delivered.
Well, Arthur, thank you very much for joining us today. And I realize that everyone's schedule probably shifted way into overdrive this week in prep for the alpha. So I do appreciate the time to talk with you. Depending on how much time we have, thank you. Depending on how much time we have left at the end, I'd like to open up for Q&A. I don't know if we'll actually get to that, folks, but I will ask that you keep your questions till the end. We're going to get right to it. And just a heads up, I'm going to mix in a handful of non-elite questions here and there because I know from experience, it can be hard just talking about elite 24/7 all the time to everybody.
I mean, yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
It can be. And I'll do my best to answer your questions as best and as honestly as I can, depending on what you ask me. It's something.
All right.
Yes.
I'll take it. First, I do want to talk about you. As the go-between between the community and the dev team, you're not new to any of this. From what I have found, I've done my research, you've been working the community management of gaming from the ground up for a long time. And I think it's safe to say that you are a genuine bona fide gamer, a gaming guy, first and foremost. With that in mind, tell me about Extreme Gaming in Colchester.
Okay, well, thanks for bringing it up because it's a really fond memory and part of my history. So Extreme Gaming was, you will have to fact check this, but I'm fairly certain Extreme Gaming was the first console-only gaming centre in the UK. I know it was the first in the UK. It possibly could have been worldwide when we opened in 2007. And it started out as just me and my brother. We played Halo as his housewarming party. Played Halo on big old CRT TVs. Put a rudimentary network in. And we spent the entire day of the housewarming party not socialising, which his wife was very upset about. And the next day, actually, when we were nursing hangovers, I was like, bro, we could do this if we did it a certain way. And we made Extreme Gaming, and essentially it was an arena with consoles, and we had themed arenas. So I was like, I'm for experiential stuff. So I was like, we built a pirate ship area for the game. There was a downstairs nuclear bunker. We built a Skyrim bar for Bethesda because we were working with them at the time for that. It was a zombies room and all this sort of stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And I got to build our community from literally from zero to what it was. And I am to this day very, very proud of that. But it wasn't just me. My brother was a key part in that as well. So that's what Extreme Gaming was.
It looked like a very cool place from what I did find.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, from what I saw of it, you were in charge of a number of different organizations and live events where it looks like you were taking care of people and organizing these big events.
So that we sort of fell into that. So when we opened, it was my first ever business. So when we opened, it was very much just like a high street, come along and bring your friends and everyone can game, etc. And as we got into it, and in what you said, I'm not like blowing around. I love gaming. Is my number one passion. So we are very in tune with like what our customers wanted, and at the time, publishers would come to us and say, look, we want to do this event. What do you think? And then we started creating events for publishers like a white label. So you would never have seen Extreme Gaming branding anywhere, but it would have been us sort of organising the event and behind the scenes and saying, look, you should do this or have this tech here or maybe create this sort of environment for people to come and game in. And then we would do to other events where we'd actually be there in person, and we would create like one event. I was an English lord dressed in like a knight's armor. We built a sort of a castle facade. I would come out and antagonize the crowd and give them a load of grief, which is even funnier because it was actually based in Glasgow, in Scotland. And obviously the Scots and the Brits, we have a history. So when I created that character, I was like, this will go one of two ways in Scotland. But thankfully, they were absolutely lovely people, and it was an absolutely fantastic weekend. But we did lots of different things like that. And I'm always for trying something different and just being a little bit off the wall. And I'd like to think that I have a good steer on like what gamers like and are okay with and want to see from their community teams.
All right. Marvel or DC?
Marvel. Oh, it was Marvel. Do you know what? It was Marvel because of The Punisher. But I'm kind of burnt out with Marvel at the moment, and I just watched the Snyder Cut, which I know is all everyone's going on about it, but I just watched it and I was like, I really like this version, and I'm upset because I know they'll never do another one. And like, but they have in their hands, I think, a great Batman, a great Superman, a great Aquaman, a great Wonder Woman, a great Cyborg, and the Flash. So I think, but they won't do another one. So it's sad. So at the minute I'm kind of DC, but Marvel, I guess, because Punisher is one of my favorite characters.
We are getting someone saying that your volume is kind of low, but I've boosted you up as much as I can.
I'll move my mic a bit closer, and hopefully that I'll lean in. I feel like one of those radio disc jockeys. Good evening, callers.
I don't know if you saw that, by the way. We had a lovely picture of you and your brother.
I flicked up and looked. Me and my brother, we looked two boiled eggs.
It was from the Gazette article. It looked really neat. You look like you built an interesting shop. It looked really cool.
Yeah, there was, honestly, if you like, by all means, I'll send you some stuff afterwards. But we had some really cool zones, like some high, really high. I mean, that was literally the day before we opened. The store wasn't even finished then when they did that picture, and then it evolved over time. But we had some amazing zones when we were finished.
Very cool. So, I mean, I'd love to side with you, DC versus Marvel, but I just can't. Superman does not kill. Batman does not use guns and kill. And I don't understand Wonder Woman's accent. But not to say she's not a lovely person. But yeah, it's not for me. I especially with the new rollout of Marvel stuff, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, I got to go Marvel.
Yeah, I haven't seen the new stuff. I always think that DC is always out of sync. They'll get a great Batman and then they can't find a great Superman. And then they'll get a good Superman and then they can't find it just goes round and round in circles for them. Yeah,
that's fine. I'm going to take a wild shot and say you were instrumental in the social media push for Borderlands 3. So how does that experience working with 2K compare with Frontier?
So 2K is obviously, it's a huge company with vast resources. So it's nice to have. It was nice to have access to so much resource to do whatever. And literally with 2K, the sky was the limit to a degree for Borderlands 3, that product. We had some amazing ideas. Some of these, and they were discarded not because we had the resource, just because we didn't think it was the right idea. As an example, we were going to at one stage have an event in LA. We were going to brand the Hoover Dam. That's the sort of access resource we had. So there's a difference. Obviously, Frontier is not quite the size of 2K, but in some ways that means you are forced to be way more creative and inventive, which I actually really like. I like a challenge. I like to be told that something's impossible, because then I'm dead set to do it.
I'm right there with you. I'm very stubborn and obstinate that way too. All right. Let's give a little shout out real quick to Edie Baking Club. I saw recently that you posted a lemon drizzle, that you did a nice slow motion cut into the cake, the whole 9 yards. I've actually pulled it up on the screen right now. How did that come out? Because I know that you and I talked about it. I said, that looks delicious. And you ended up posting a recipe, which it turns out was your dad's recipe.
Yeah. Okay. So, and this is how it came about. So I never really baked at all in my life ever. It wasn't a thing I was interested in. Didn't do it. And I lost my father a couple of years ago to a stroke. And one of the things my dad would always do was make us a lovely lemon drizzle cake. And he had a recipe, and that was that recipe. And I decided that just one of those things, I was like, you know what, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make Dad's lemon drizzle cake. And I just became good at it, I guess, because I wanted it to be right. So the first few that I made were awful. So like they fell in the middle and stuff like that. So it was just a thing. That's why it's called Dad's recipe, because it was his recipe, and it's, you know, I'm now pretty good at it. I don't bake that many things, but those and brownies I can do. But that's how the lemon drizzle came around. I do the odd birthday cake, but I really am not a talented baker. I just am good at lemon drizzle.
That sounds great, man. I'm going to give it a shot too. By the way, if anyone is listening, if they're curious, he was kind enough to show us the recipe in the comments down below that. So you should go look for it for yourself. All right.
FYI, so, as we discussed, that's not my handwriting. That's my partner Jen's handwriting. I do not write like that. So
my God,
you know,
I have that link up too. You know what? I'm going to pull it up. I'm actually going to put it up on screen. My God, her handwriting is fantastic.
Uh-huh.
Jesus, I really thought it was. I'm like, it looks like it's a pre-printed recipe book, but I don't recognize the font.
No. She wrote it out. She took a lot of care for it. But it was
holy crap!
But
that's
it takes
amazing.
a while, but so I end up doing the Christmas cards because we'd be here till next Christmas writing them out. But it does look good.
What other games do you enjoy playing?
I enjoy things that I can play with friends. So obviously I like Elite. I love Elite. I enjoy playing Sea of Thieves because it's fun. I can just mess around and do silly things. I enjoy Fallout 76. I enjoy Borderlands, although I'm sort of finished as much as I can do on Borderlands. One of my favorite games of all time is XCOM. I love turn-based strategy games. It was a game that I was in love with in 1995, I think, or 6 when it came out, and I got to be involved working with the team at Firaxis around the sequels, helped launch the games, the XCOM 2 in the UK. So really proud of that. So yeah, they're the sort of games I enjoy playing. And honestly, to decompress, I will just put on Solitaire and play Solitaire and try and beat a time. And my fastest time is 1 minute 33. So I'm cruising on that.
That's pretty good. I'm sorry. Did you say you enjoy Fallout 76?
I know. I do. I enjoy it. It is. Do you know what I enjoy about it? I mean, it's changed vastly, obviously, since its launch. But I generally do enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun with friends. I enjoy creating stuff, and it does give me access to all the sort of build your own encampment and stuff like that. And I do spend hours upon hours trying to find the right location, make my camp. And they've added like sort of bunkers and vaults in it, so I sort of go in there. But I find it's not without its faults. No game is without its faults, and you know, Fallout 76 has a few of them. But I enjoy it. I have fun with it.
No, my problem isn't the faults so much as the faults that were fixed in Fallout 4, but they used a pre-build of 4 that didn't have those fixes to make 76. Dude. And no, I'm sorry. Look, if you really want some fun, though, I highly recommend go back to Fallout 4 and load up Sim Settlements 2 onto as a mod. My God, it's amazing. You have those settlers that were normally very useless, and you had to build up their town for them. Now they do it for themselves, and they make their own designs. Yeah, it's great. It's actually very, very well done, and adds a lot more story too. Yeah. How do you feel about burning the bubble?
I thought it was good. I actually enjoyed the reaction to it. To be fair, I thought. I'm assuming you're referring to the recent events in Elite.
Kind of. I'm referring to the idea of maybe letting those stations burn so that it forces the rest of humanity and the community to leave the bubble and go out and create more bubbles, micro bubbles, all around. Yeah.
I have to tread carefully how I answer this. So I don't necessarily think it needs to burn, but I do like the idea of other bubbles.
I like that idea too.
Being an incentive for other bubbles.
Yeah. This is a weird one, and this is something that I wasted. I do apologize to the audience. I wasted it before the show because I couldn't verify it, and I was debating whether to do it at all. But were you the voice of a zombie?
I was not a voice of a zombie. Sadly, I am not that talented, and I wasn't really even that talented to be a zombie. I'm assuming you're referring to the IMDb posting of me. This is an actor for Resident Evil 6 commercial.
I am. Yeah.
I think it's fair that you asked me beforehand, because it would have been a bit of a. If I just went no, I wasn't. Yeah, so I was very lucky enough to go along to the filming of it when I was working for Extreme Gaming. So I went along to see for Capcom to have a look at Resident Evil 6 and the advert they were making for it. And I just happened to be covering the event. And I walked past the makeup team sort of later on in the afternoon. There was a guy there called Nat, really cool guy. And he had the prosthetics you stick on people's faces to make them like zombies. I don't need much, obviously. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And he said to me, you have a big round head. And this will fit your face perfectly. And I was like, well, okay, that's cool. He goes, do you want to wear it? And I was like, of course I do. So he put it on, slapped a load of gore. I ended up becoming a zombie. And I had a really cool scene where it was supposed to be a parking lot, but it was actually the roof of a multi-story car park. And there's a reporter, and she gets attacked by zombies, of which I was one of they call hero zombies because she had all a mask on. And I had to sort of lurch towards her. We had a zombie walk training program. SWAT team pulls up, shoots, head goes back, and I've got to fall to the ground like a dead weight, and that's what I was told, dead weight. So as the thespian actor that I obviously am, I fully committed to my role and head flew back, crashed to my knees, which caused me a lot of pain, and then died. And I eagerly awaited seeing my masterpiece in action in the advert. And in fact, all you actually see is the end of my foot, like the toe part of my trainer. That's it. So I wasn't even good enough to be a zombie. I couldn't even play a dead person. They had to cut that bit out. So my foot has more talent than me as an actor than I do. So that's the story of. But I am still listed as an actor on IMDb, and I do bring that up every chance I get.
I found it and I said, no. I tried for hours to verify it. I said, okay, you know what? It's fine. I'll ask him before. Are Thargoids basically space bees?
Space bees?
Yes. Are Thargoids bees?
I don't know the answer to that question. That's a genuine answer. I don't know. The man that would know would be David Braben.
Well, I mean, you're clearly going to have to tell me how to get in contact with him so I can ask him.
The way I look at, to be honest, do you know what? Bizarrely, and you testified, we didn't talk about this before the show, but I was actually thinking about how I consider Thargoids in my head. I am anti-Thargoid. I would always attack them, etc., if I'm not busy running away. But I always think of them as like Klingons in the original Star Trek series. They are inherently aggressive, or the bad guys, perceived bad guys, but they're just doing their own thing. They're just, we're interacting with them, and perhaps we're doing things to annoy them that we don't know about, and they're just reacting to us. It's not necessarily that they are the bad guys. It's a culture clash, right? So that's how I see them. But whether they're like bees, and they're sort of, I'm guessing like their social structure, I don't know is the answer.
Well, actually, I'm going to, you clearly have not seen my video on it, but I'm going to send you the link afterwards, and we're going to. It talks about basically Thargoids are bees. You already have the infrastructure and the social ladder and everything like that. But essentially, I firmly believe this because you can drop in on them, and I've done a number of videos on this too. You can drop in on them, drop meta alloys. They'll leave you alone, and they're borderline friendly. And before the bug was fixed, you could actually align with them. So that actually leads me to the next question is, can we ever look forward to friendly Thargoid interactions?
Here's so honest answer is I don't know, because I don't know how that would work mechanically, and I can't speak from a dev side. The narrative side of me says that I find the Thargoids very, very interesting, like very interesting. And there's a lot of roads I want to go down with that particular story and that particular element. And not just Thargoids. I think Guardians are very interesting. And there's elements of those that I think can be fully explored and we can get to some point in the future. I can't say too much, and I can't speak of. I'd love to have the option, right? Because Elite Dangerous is a sandbox, and I like the idea that players have decided to be like, we are pro Thargoid, and we want to help Thargoids, and we don't want to fight them, etc. I love that because that's what emergent gameplay is all about. So, would I personally, after Tommy, like to see that option? Yeah, I would love to have an ability for players to be able to do that. Whether it's technically possible, that's a question I don't want to answer because someone at Dev will just sit there and explode and be like, "Why did you say that?" Now,
why did you sit there?
So I don't. It's the answer.
That's actually fair. Before I move on, I am going to say one small little thing about it. I gotta find the, at least the thumbnail. But realistically, I'm relatively sure that Thargoid ships are succulents. And there was a picture I had in the video. You know what? I'll send it to you later. It doesn't matter. We'll move on. It's fine. There's plenty of times that you're going to indulge my wild speculation here. So let's just get to that.
Yeah, no, look, I will do my best. I will be 100% on, like, some subjects are very, very, like, under pain of death. You must not mention this stuff because I'm like, okay, cool. I won't. And my boss is like, I hate watching you on stream because I can see you trying to not say it and then saying it but not saying it. And he goes, and it gives me shivers. So I'm like, okay, all right, I'll try.
You know what?
I'm generally excited for stuff, so I do want people to be excited.
It might give them anxiety, but it gives me hope. So we're going to roll with that. Two-parter. Are we going to get new ships soon? And if so, will you let me introduce them?
So in answer to the first question, there are no plans at the moment for new ships. That's all I can say on that at the moment. Can you introduce them? You can introduce them. Whether it will be the first time introduced, I don't know. But you can definitely do a spotlight, I'm sure.
Well, this is what I'm asking. Come on, I did the best ship review series, and Yemix can argue with me all he wants. What do you think about adding in ship and things like ship skins that can only be found on derelict ships found way out in the black?
Oh, so interesting. Yeah, I'm all for stuff like that. I am all for stuff for rewarding players for doing certain things and encouraging them to go certain places because Elite is so vast, like it's so massive. And there's this stuff that I used to do, like before I worked at Frontier, like I would always try to watch YouTubers or stuff like that. And I'd be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go to this place. This place looks amazing. Like Elite's always like, oh my God, this place is incredible. I need to go here. And then I'd find out it's like 500 light years away. And this is before fleet carriers. So I'd be like, oh, well, I won't be doing that in any time soon. But I'd love to be able to do stuff like that. And it's something I'm looking into at the moment. It's like how we reward our players for activities. It's something that's important to me. And again, I do look at other titles and stuff and other games that are doing sort of live service content. And I do look to see best practices, what people like, what people hate. And I try and find that middle ground and then obviously convince all the relevant parties that I think this is the way to go. And can I please have their time and their bandwidth to do it?
I mean, this ties back to basically the burn the bubble concept of there's two ways to incentivize it. Either you put something good out there that they can find, like a ship skin on a derelict, and that's the only way to get it. And I like that concept. Or, like I said, is burn the bubble, is make the bubble uninhabitable. Then you force those people to come out and start new bubbles everywhere else. All of a sudden, the galaxy can get a little bit smaller, but still be extraordinarily massive, but more manageable.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it is stuff that I'm interested in, and it also is stuff that it's not just me. And when I say me, I do feel like I'm being sort of unfair to the team because it's not just me; it's the whole team in general. Want stuff for the players to feel they go out there to explore and to use, to see these different places, to use all of the various different ships and tools, etc., etc. So it's not just me; it's the dev team as well. So yeah, we are looking at it. And it's like anything, and you know, I'll probably say this more than once during this show. It's not as I wish it was as easy as snapping fingers and going, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this now. There is a ton of things that everything has to go through to get it in, like sort of just not just internally but externally, and making sure we're not breaking any rules and the various rules of all the different countries we're in. So it's not as simple as right, we're just going to do this thing now. It'll be okay. So it goes through a process of like, what's on our priority list, what we want to do, where's that fit in line with all the other goals. So yes, it's on our list and it's on my list actually, but it's also you'll notice like with the narrative stuff I'm doing, that's where I'm pushing. And I think it's what the players want. I think they're enjoying the narrative stuff. I think they're enjoying where we're going with it. And And as long as they are, then I'll continue to do that sort of stuff. And I always listen to stuff like this feedback you just give me there. Like, you're right. You know, we need to incentivize players and find ways to do it. And that's part of my job, and to feed that back.
One tiny little thing before, lighthearted thing before we move on to anything else. This is some frankly excellent Kratos cosplay right here. And I think that really deserves to be, get more love than it has. Well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you. I mean, if I was Kratos, as it says, I can't remember what I wrote on that, but if it was Kratos, it would be when he was tired, then the only thing he was killing was pies. That's the only thing. That's Kratos way after he's done killing all the gods and stuff. When he's like, I've done everything now, there's nothing left to kill apart from the odd tasty pie, which I've killed a few of.
Yeah, I mean, I debated on the Kratos. There was also a high possibility for this one, the Admiral Pirate Captain thing. I think this was also very good.
Oh,
but
wow.
Yeah.
My Barbossa, that was actually for Extreme Gaming. We had them made for our pirate area. So on the wall it was all pirates, and it was a lot of fun because we used to host parties and stuff like that, and obviously parents would bring their kids in, and they'd be like, and the kids would be young enough to be sweet enough to not realise when I was joking. They'd be like, "Who's that on the wall?" And I'd be like, "Oh, that's my great." No, really? And I was like, yeah, he was a pirate lord. And they're like, that's amazing. And next to him was, one of my other friends is a mermaid. And they would say, oh, your friend's a mermaid? And I was like, yep, I'm 100%.
What do you think about adding jump gates to the game?
Don't know. I'd have to give it some. I've thought about it to be 100%. Not sure. Is the honest answer, because I have to work how that fits in with lore, how they get there, how they travel, the means of using a gate as opposed to using that tech in. I assume they have to be vast. So yeah, I'd have to think about it. I'm not adverse to it because Galaxy is so massive. Like, it's not like it's like we're going to run out of space. It's a one-to-one representation of the Milky Way, right? So that's not going to be wouldn't be an issue. But I just think I don't know. Some of the fun with Elite. I'd be worried that people would miss stuff. And I've said this before, and I generally mean it. Like, you can go to a system and it can just look like any old system to you because you're just passing through it. But then someone else could come along a week, a year, 2 years later, go through the same system. And because that system's planetary bodies have aligned in a certain way at that particular time, it's an entirely unique experience. And there would be periods of space or sections of space potentially that could be lost, and that element could be lost. But that said, going back to my first point, space is vast, so there's plenty of it for people to explore. So I'm not adverse to it, but again, that would definitely not be a me decision. That would be a David decision. David makes the lore in Elite Dangerous, and that would be if he decided that was cool. Then yeah.
I'm curious about the issues that you deal with as the lead community manager of when and where and what gets focus. How much of your time is spent on forums, subreddits, or just organizing other guys for rollout, stuff like that? Walk me through your average workday.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, it's a bit different, but like in terms of the forums, I do try to get onto the forums. If not replying, I will look at them. But my job as lead is really to manage the team, and they will go on there, they'll go through the forums and look at it, because I have to sort of take in the information they provide me. They will tell me, they'll be like, look, these are the things that are really killing us at the moment. And they'll sort of feed that back at me succinctly and be like, these are the big problems. As an example, I am well aware that the issue tracker is a problem. I know it's an issue. Ironically, it is an issue. It's a huge thing to fix. It's not an issue. I wish I had a fix button. I could fix it. So I will go and feed that back into the relevant parties internally. But that's not just one party. It might involve customer service, then dev team, then dev. So it goes round and round. So I then have to fight for time and sit down and go, look, this is really important. We need to get this fixed. But they might be fighting against an entirely different resource sink, which is, we're trying to build this thing for Odyssey and this has to get done. This isn't going to work. So that a lot of my job is liaising internally and externally, not just with the community and feeding back the community's sort of issues and also the stuff that the community really like. That's also important to note. I will feedback what they really, really enjoy. But it's also working amongst all the other stakeholders in the business. And sometimes people, not actually don't realize it's not really explained very well. Like communities always seem to be an outward facing department, which obviously it is, but there's obviously part of my job is my communities, my customers, what I refer to as my external community and also B, my internal community. I have to listen to all of those people, find out what they're doing and the stresses they're going through and try and be like, look, I understand this. I see where you are with that. Can we please, I know what little bandwidth you've got. If I can't fix this problem, can I fix that one or can we adjust this? Or what tools do we have available to us at this moment in time and how can I utilize them to make something better for the community? So a lot of it is problem solving, a lot of it is liaising.
Okay. Do you feel like you have all the necessary resources in order to tackle everything that you want to that's on your plate?
In terms of resources, like I don't think in any job you could ever have enough. Like I could ask for 1,000 more of everything. I think I have an amazing team, and I'm very lucky and proud of my team. So I'm very lucky to have Bruce, Paul, Zach, who's just joined us. Stephen, when he was on my team, he's now moved on to another project which I can't talk about. But really proud of those guys for what they do and how they do it. Excuse me. And I'm really really lucky to have a dev team that cares so much about the product. And I know sometimes people feel that they don't, but I speak to these guys every day and they genuinely care. I genuinely care about the product. And they are constantly trying to do stuff for it. So in terms of, I couldn't ask for more in terms of that. I wish, like everyone, I wish I had more time to do stuff because there's always, in this industry, there's always the push for more content, more this, more. And often that sort of, you're fighting against that constantly. To deliver something new and also maintain something that's already existing is a very tough job to do.
Tell me about it. Yeah, I know. So there's these moments in streams where the community managers, you included, will ask the chat if we know what anomaly we're looking at or the name of a certain character, because you guys don't know. And I think to a certain extent, that's an act. I think you guys know a lot more about the lore and the characters than you want anybody to actually realize. What do you think about that?
To a degree, I'll be totally honest. I consider myself, I am an elite. I've played elite for years. I don't necessarily couldn't sit there and tell you the names of everything. Like, and when Bruce and I will often joke like Squishy Boys, Spiky Boys, we will often have jokes about it because it's just the slang we use, and we do get told off for it. Like, we absolutely get the way I see it is I will talk like a player, like how when the people I play with. That's how I talk because it's relatable. Like I don't want to come across as, and I don't. People will say to me, "You should know absolutely everything," and I appreciate that standpoint, but it's not one I share because I'm like, I play the game and I love it and I play it how I play it, and I expect people to play Elite the same way. I don't judge you on or anyone on whether they can tell me who invented whatever system is going to be on the ship or what the first date for Thargoid contact was, or that for me, I'm like, that's cool if you're into it, really cool. And I like, there are people out there who are absolute lore kings and queens, and that's fantastic. But I try and just play it. I try to be as natural as possible. So if I don't know something, I'm like, I don't know what it is. And sometimes I'll get a ship wrong, especially with crates and belugas, dolphins, and that sort of stuff. I often call the wrong one list. People go to me, oh, you should know this, your league community. And I'm like, look, I play the game. I often stick to the one ship I love, which is my chieftain. So yes, some of it's an act, but generally speaking, if I say I don't know what it is or we make something up, it's just because we don't know. And I've just gone, look, I don't know what that is.
That's a good pivot. But yeah, you know what? Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I can't even blame you. I do that all the time. Like, how do you expect me to have to live my life and literally have the entire lore book in my head at the same time? I'm going to botch it once in a while. It's fine.
Yeah.
I feel you. How much of you is the narrative in the Adamastor event?
Oh, wow. I will. Okay, so a lot.
That's what I thought.
But it's not just me at all. It's not just me at all. And I'll be really clear on this. Like, so to give you an idea of the process, I will say we need X type of an event. This is my outline of this event. So I think this should happen. And then it goes to the Reddit, so it'll go to the dev team. Lawrence is an amazing, like, sort of lead dev. And I couldn't do any of this stuff without Lawrence. Just couldn't. Lawrence and Lawrence's team, and Dav, I'm sure you know who Dav is. So Lawrence will be like, that's a really cool story. However, what you're asking for is essentially to build an entirely new game. So let's scale this back now and talk about what we can actually do within the universe. So, and then the story will evolve, and then it becomes something else. But it's still that same skeleton, the same. I'll be like, this is the start, this is the middle, this is the end, this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to start, and this is why we need to do it, and this is what it should link into. And then my team will come up with all this really cool ideas, which I'm really pumped for, because we did it today, and we'll sit in a room and we'll do like an hour of just like, right, we know what this particular part of the story is going to be. This is what we're going to do. And we go through it, and then we'll iterate, and then we'll get Lawrence, and Lawrence will iterate on it. So a lot of it is, a lot of it is the team and I, because there's like the other lore as well. So there's two sort of narratives that run. This sounds really confusing. It's not, to me, it's not, but when I explain it, I explain it like an idiot. But there's like the narrative, which is like the ongoing constant narrative, which has like very long arcs in it. And then there are what I love, which are these special stories, which link into it at points, but they are in and of themselves their own particular story. And this one that we're doing at the moment, in my opinion, and I would say this, is going to be really fun. Really fun.
You mentioned in an interview with Commander Burr in December of last year that you all sat down and scripted out the deployment of new content for the next year and a half. And you told him back then that you were going to take a picture of that idea board on that day so you can pull it out afterwards and say, hey, we had it all planned out. Can we see that picture?
And I will share that picture and then lose my job immediately. Here's the content. I have taken that picture. It is on my phone. And it is actually date stamped as well, because it's the picture of the PowerPoint presentation. So it has the clock in the bottom right-hand corner. So it's there. It is there. 100% it is there.
We're going to see it eventually, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Absolutely.
When did you decide to make the Imperials pose as NMLA terrorists?
When? I don't know. It was so, to give an example, so that narrative, when we set and scoped it out, there are, I said it then, I'll say it again. I'm going to get in trouble for saying it. I did it in phases, and we're coming to the end of sort of phase one of that long narrative. And in that narrative, I'm like, this is what's got to happen during this period of time in order for the second phase to make sense and to work. That NMLA are an element that was created within that by one of our writers that brought it in. So they're not necessarily my creation, but they are pivotal to what is. They are important. Like I've said it before, like everything we do, small or large, is part of the plan.
It's actually what I've been telling people when I've had arguments with them. I said, listen, this piece of information over here is not trivial. I know it seems unrelated, but it's a story. You don't skip a chapter because it doesn't make sense. It obviously is connected.
Yep.
You mentioned in that interview that how you structure your narratives to be released over a period of events long term in community goals and narrative chunks that actively engage the community. And that's what makes them worth it. And I agree. Is the Hesperus currently in the game?
You'll have to wait and see. Not for nothing. That name is important. That's all I'm going to say.
I get it. I do. I feel like if we're seeing references to it, if we're involved and engaged, it should technically be able to be found.
Right? Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right.
Thank you. All right. On that note, I'm going to phrase this very carefully so you can take a beat before you answer it.
Okay.
And that's the only heads up you're going to get from me for the rest of this.
Sure.
Is there anything that was added to the Elite Galaxy that is accessible that hasn't been discovered?
By what, since I've been here?
No. From all of time, since the beginning.
Oh, I see. You want me to say the words that I'm not allowed to say?
No. We can skip that one. Is there anything that was added in previous years in the Elite Galaxy that it is accessible today that hasn't been discovered?
I'm going to plead the fifth on this one. I can't speak for my predecessors. I can tell you that nothing's been added since I've been here that isn't inaccessible. And that is the safest cop-out answer I can give you.
That's a great answer. Because literally my next follow-up question was same question excluding Roxla.
No, look, the stuff that we work on, I'll be honest with this, the stuff that I'm working on with the guys, it's important to us that it's tangible. So it's if we're getting players invested in stuff, there's got to be a payoff. Essentially, that's the rules for us. It's like if I'm writing or say it's the wrong word, when we are putting together this narrative, it's really important. And Bruce is a great one for keeping us in check on this. But it's like there has to be a payoff for this. Like if we're doing this particular thing, there has to be a payoff for it. So like I say, everyone in the team is super involved in the narrative. It isn't just me. And they're all, and what's great is they're all super pumped on it as well. Like so, they will all come with ideas, and it's like it's so nice to sit in a room and have just like you don't say too much because they're all telling you stuff, and you're like, this is great, that is great, and then between the four of us, we'll be like, this is what we're going to do. We think we've got a solid plan, and then we'll go to the team and be like, this is what we think is going to happen. It just sort of it's like I don't know, it's like a block of marble or something, and you just chip away at it until eventually you've got right. That's the picture. But yes, tangible stuff is important to us.
Okay. There are a number of unsolved mysteries inside of Elite that have been added years ago, and some of them have not been answered. And I'm aware just by listening to you and talking in this interview that you basically have said you're not involved with any of those previous things, but I'm wondering if you can give us something. And so we're gonna rapid fire them, a few of them, just to see if we can actually get an idea. The signal in space it's a Stume JMWC1 blah 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 blah. If you point at this system from literally anywhere in the galaxy, and there's no planetary bodies in your way, you can hear a signal that sounds a little bit like chatter. And if you put it through the spectrograph on Audacity, you can visibly see a signal coming from that system. And I can actually, this isn't the Audacity video, but this is the system we happen to be talking about right here on the screen. But the point is that if you go there, there's nothing there. It's just 3 stars. There's nothing to scan down. There's nothing to find. And a couple of people have reported this as a bug. I want to know what you think.
Honest answer is I don't know anything about that particular.
Okay.
I don't want to call it a bug because it doesn't sound like it's a bug to me. That's what I'll say to you. Like that's way too specific to be a bug.
Right.
I will say this much about it'll be to some of these points you're going to bring up. The writing team that we have that work on some of these sort of mysteries, just because they stop doesn't mean they've ended. And that's really important because there is stuff. And although I wasn't involved in the creation, there are certain lore pieces that I've gone and actually that is something I want to make sure we revisit sooner rather than later. And I'll go back to where the writer was there. And obviously his writing teams change and stuff. But that to me doesn't sound like it's a bug. But I could be wrong. Like I absolutely could be wrong in that. But that sounds very specific.
I appreciate that. Thank you. The next one is the unstable data core. I don't know if you're familiar with this one, but just outside Colonia, you can find a crashed Type 9. And the only piece of salvage is an unstable data core that after, I believe, 12 hours or 24 hours or something like that, it basically turns into garbage. And it's the only piece of cargo that you can pick up that'll realistically do that. And we all seem to think that you need to deliver it somewhere in order for it to actually pay off, but nobody can seem to suss out where that is. There is no in-game lore points to point to where it is supposed to go. And how obsessive these guys are.
I am aware of this one. Look, I don't want to sit here and just go, no, I don't know. But generally, these are law things that are before my time.
Okay.
I'm aware of this one. I don't know the answer to the question, but it does. Again, I will say that's probably by design, because that's knowing how things are put into the game. You don't just happen to accidentally create that device. And one of the things that, and just to be clear, one of the things I'm very keen on as well is not spoiling anybody else's birthday cake. And what I mean by that is, if they've made it super difficult, they've probably done it for a reason. And I don't want to go away and go, hey, look, here's a clue, hint, why don't you go check and look here? If I knew, I wouldn't do it, just because it's like, look, it will ruin the payoff. And I want to be clear, I don't know what that is for that particular thing, but like, I wouldn't say it regardless, because if it's done in a certain way, and knowing the guys, there's always a reason for what they put into the game. So I don't think there'll be a few things there. I don't think anything you're going to talk about really, if I'm honest, is going to be like by accident, but we'll see.
I mean, I have no intention of beating you up for things that you have literally never touched and are not responsible for. But I only want to know if something is, if you are familiar with it, if it's broken or if it's not broken, if it's a waste of time.
If I knew there was a law, I can't remember if you've actually put any out, to be honest. I think we did. When we did the Adamastor as a point, like there was an issue with one of the logs, and people spent ages because there was an actual error in the log, and people thought we were trying to sort of sending them a message. Now, it wasn't the end of the Adamastor story. I've got to check carefully here. But at that point, it wasn't the end of the Adamastor story. But it made it look like we were trying to point somewhere else. And I was like, we need to get that fixed, because I don't want players to think that we are trying to lead them on a wild goose chase. Like, there has to be, again, something tangible. So fix it. And it's been fixed now. And when you get it works as it should work. So yeah, it's important that if I see something and someone tells me, look, is this a bug? Or someone says to me, look, is this solvable? And the answer is yes. Then the answer is yes, I'll just leave it. And if it's something I haven't dealt with before or I'm not involved in, if it is a bug and it's something I'm not involved in, then I'll probably start chasing and hounding people and going, look, we need to get rid of this because it's a monkey on my back. And that's me being totally honest as a community manager. I don't want my community, with greatest respect, wasting their time looking for something that isn't there. So so it is important to me. Both sides of that coin is important to me.
I totally get it. I mean, the reason I ask is it's also a matter of establishing ownership. I mean, yes, as a community manager, I feel like you should answer for all of it, but at the same time, I don't want to, again, yell at you for something you haven't touched. And if you don't know about it, then
feel free to yell at me. That's my job. I live by the sword and I die by it, because I always say at work when I'm mad, they go, don't shoot the messenger. And I go, I always shoot the messenger, because at least that way I know someone got shot. I'm just like, I get it. Like, if people want to scream at me, I understand. Like, I fully will take that on the chin, all of my chins, and say, look, it's fine. I'll listen and understand.
In that case, I will grumble at you for something that is your fault. I got completely burned on my Jupiter Rochester prediction. I honestly thought he was going to get set up as the new ship manufacturer or equipment manufacturer, or at least another power play character. And it looks like, at least for the moment, I was wrong. Are there future planets? Are there future plans with Jupiter, or did I completely screw it up?
Oh my God! Like, I can't answer your question, which should answer your question. So There you go.
Another lighthearted one. This one's personal. It's not going to feed anyone's curiosity, but mine. Is Archon Delane an albino black man?
Pass. I don't know. Do you know what? I don't know. Like, it could just be that he's dyed his hair, all of it.
I don't. It's a non. I'm putting up on the screen. I don't actually know. I look at him, I'm like,
he looked like one of the twins out of the second Matrix film.
Yeah, well, those were albino guys.
Yeah,
the albino twins.
It's possible. It's possible, but I don't know. The honest answer is I generally don't know. It's not something I've ever sort of looked into, but I don't know. I know I probably wouldn't want to have a fight with him. He'd kick me all around the room. So.
Well, anybody who's going to get a spider tattoo, just above their eye, I mean, that's a general good rule of thumb.
That's a definite don't get my order wrong in Starbucks kind of guy.
Let's talk about the club and the Dark Wheel.
Okay.
One of these is a shadowy organization that nobody knows anything about, is highly secretive, and can only be joined if you're invited. And so is the other one. There's not a lot of distinction between them, and we have not gotten any clear updates in a very, very long time. Can we look forward to any narrative beats regarding these organizations in the near future?
Okay, so specifically, stuff like that I'm aware of, and I do know there's a thirst for more information. I have to be very careful about that stuff and how when it's eked out. And again, it's not a fallback. It's a project. Obviously, it was started way before my time at Frontier. It's not a forgotten subject. Is all I will say. But there are careful times to put some of that stuff out.
Okay. No, I mean, I totally get it. At least a part of me is asking if it's just something that's been forgotten, and that would be a valid answer. But at this point, I mean, let's call a spade a spade.
There's stuff in Elite that's been going on a long time, and this whole community is built around stuff, which I think is really cool. I wouldn't want to waste anything if I'm totally honest, because I think there's always, like, you're creative, you'll understand this. Like there's always an audience or something to pull from, or a string to pull that can push something somewhere else. And I wouldn't want to just say, oh well, you know what, it wasn't my idea, so I'm not going to be involved in that. But what I do want to do is, when I do get involved in stuff, is to fully understand what I'm doing when I'm doing it. I do not want to do something an injustice by not fully understanding what I'm doing or getting involved with or changing stuff. Which is why having, with the big stuff or big stories of Elite, it's really cool that David will spend time to review an outline of a narrative, and he will tell us that is correct. You can't do that. You can do this, and it's never just a no. It will be stuff like, this person or this faction wouldn't do that. This faction would, or this person would, or they would do X, Y, and Z. So again, I don't throw anything away, but when I do stuff, I want to make sure I do it right.
No, I get it. I'm strictly speaking meta, out of game conversation, as it were. You know, again, let's call a spade a spade. Elite is a older game at this point. Exactly at what point are we going to get the payoff of this decades long mystery that hasn't paid off over multiple games? I'd love to, do hammer on you with the typical Roxla thing, but it's more than Roxla. There are things that I don't know if they actually get paid off, because any sane person, and not that any of us are sane, but any sane person would turn around and say it's not going to happen. And I am, yes, looking for a little bit of hope here, but at the same time wondering, what is the decision behind these kind of slow rollouts?
Okay, so not being, and again, I'll give the answer behind the slow rollout stuff. And I can't go into specifics. For two reasons. One, I'm not privy to all the information. That is actually true. I'm not privy to all of the information. But the reason why the slow rollouts work is, as an example, it wasn't obviously not as slow, but stuff like the Thargoids, when it actually pays off, the impact is far greater. But I do agree that on the big story points, the payoff has to be comparable to the effort. So Elite is an older game, yes, but like Frontier by far is not done with Elite. Like Odyssey is a huge, like, and I know, I work on Elite, and I'm here, I guess, to sell the game. I actually don't go into it. I just talk as it is. They've essentially built another game to merge with Elite. They have no intention of just being like, you know what, we're done with Elite. Like, that's not the plan. And Odyssey, when you all get your hands on it and start playing, it will see, like, it will start, and it will have, I don't know, 100 times more options for you to do stuff. And then within 6 months, they have 1,000 more options and play things and emergent gameplay. And then in a year's time, 10,000 more things to do. Elite is not, there's no intention or appetite for Frontier to shut Elite and end that. There's a lot of plans that we want to see to fruition. But it's important that the timing is right.
I mean, I do appreciate you saying that. I'm not going to lie, and that this is a topic of conversation among some of the older guard. It's nice to be reassured that hey, they're not just going to up and leave like any corporation would. It's nice to hear it from you guys.
Look, there's lots of stuff. I mean, Frontier Elite is especially for a lot of people's hearts. I mean, David, created Elite way back when. His passion for it hasn't changed. Like he still is passionate about it, and he still is invested in it. Like you could send an email to David about Elite when he's off, which is rare, and he will reply about it. He will come back and be like, "Look," and he'll give it the time of day because he genuinely cares. And that's the guy in charge, right? That's the big egg. If he ever heard me call him that, that's the end of my career. But yeah, he cares. He actually cares. So like, what I would say is, and you also have a team of people, and again, it's not just David. And I said this right at the start of this when we were chatting. It isn't just David. Everybody cares about this. I love Elite. I care about it. My team care about it. The devs care about it. Like it's not. I know it has its faults, right? I'm well aware of it. The community is well aware of it. It's one of those things where we will continue to work on it. We will continue to give it as much as we can give it, and push it forward. And there's stuff that we all want to do and go with, and it's always like with the best intention. So that's all I'll say on that, because it sounds like a sales pitch.
No, it's okay. You know what? I'll tell you point blank, man. So do we. I mean, for the most part, like you, Elite is my central work. I film here. I spend a lot of time thinking about it. I make content for it. I do my research. I've done research for this interview. And, we love it too. And you have, and I hate to just be reductionist about it, but you have the benefit of a paycheck to reaffirm the fact that you love, and that's acknowledged. And, we like to be acknowledged too, Yeah, and so
look, it's important. It is important.
Yeah. Going back to the club in Dark Whale, because we seem to have gotten a little off topic.
Sorry.
Are there it's okay. It's me too. Are there actual players in these groups?
When you would define what you mean by that, when you say they're actual players,
I mean, are there actual people who have bought and play the game in the Dark Wheel or the club?
I can't answer that question with any authority, so I will not.
Okay. I'll take it. And because we realistically have not touched it at all, we're going to do a quick segue into Odyssey's mechanics. But real quick,
okay.
Let's talk about salvage.
Yeah.
Me and a couple other people are just huge fans of salvage. We play other games where you rip things off of ships and put them in your own ship, or you steal something off of somebody's ship and you bring it back, or you break down things for components. And we really love that because everything feels like it has distinction and meaning, and they're not just carnival tickets. And the problem that at least I have with Elite is that I love to salvage, and I pop in on a site where there's a ship, broken in half and all this stuff is floating around. I think, oh, wow, cool. But all of the things to collect are identical. They're just canisters. They're carnival tickets. What they're actually called doesn't actually matter. They don't mean anything. They don't have any other additional function beyond what, using for engineering material, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
It's kind of boring. Is there, okay. I like what I've seen some aspects of Odyssey so far. It looks to be, and especially if you're getting a salvaging suit, that there might be an expansion on what we can do via salvage. Yeah,
I mean, as an example, salvage, like I'm trying to get us to show more of the points of interest stuff. We can go to a crash ship and cut through panels, and there's SRVs you can cut open and stuff like that, and remove power cores and stuff from, and other components that come out. Some of it will just be stuff you can sell, and it's illegal goods or legal goods, etc. Some of it will be stuff you can break down and use for engineering your suits and stuff like that. But other stuff that uses as a practical function. So in the mission playthrough, which is really old footage, now I've looked at it again, I'm like, oh my God, that is really old footage. When you pull the power cord, that power cord can be used in a practical sense to repower settlements and stuff like that, or to sell, or just to keep, or whatever. And it does have a use. I don't know, for full disclosure, I don't know all the new items that are adding into the game and all the different functionalities, but scavenging does have, is getting a bit of a look, and there are points of interest that people will be able to go to that have never been seen before. That'll be fun for people to do. I'm all into, like, I don't know if you saw my tweet yesterday. Like, the most fun I've had has been with the Maverick suit. Not just because it's called Maverick, which is a really cool name, but it's my favorite suit. I think it looks the best suit, anyways. But
I did like the orange accents. That was cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The Pioneer skin on it. Yeah, that looks really cool. But I'm all about the Maverick suit and cutting into things that I shouldn't be cutting into. But I also like the various different ways of doing stuff in Odyssey, which is great.
I do occasionally fly around and I will find an abandoned ship just sitting there. And it doesn't actually belong to a player. It's just random spawn salvage. But of course, there's nothing to do with it. There's nothing to collect. There's no stuff around there. Can I take that ship in Odyssey?
A randomly spot. I don't. The mechanics, as I understand it, and as I've played, I'm lucky enough to play a version of it. It's not the alpha version. It's what they call. So the game's on Trunk, and there'll be a branch of it. So I'm playing. You'll understand that because you do IT.
Yeah.
So you will know more about the IT side terminology than I will. But so I'm playing a part of it. So in order to board a ship, the way I understand it is you have to be given permission to do it. Either it's your ship or the owner of that ship has to give you permission to be able to board that ship. I have not seen a way, and I'm not saying it's not in there because, again, I don't know absolutely everything about Odyssey. I've not seen a way of cutting into it that wouldn't compromise the ship, that would then let you fly it.
Well, I'm going to remain hopeful, but set my expectations accordingly. Yep. Tomorrow, we're obviously going to be getting another look at Odyssey on the official stream. Is there anything that we should be looking for specifically? Any little notes or clues you've snuck in? Maybe more Morse code?
No, to be fair, tomorrow is a showcase of Odyssey stuff. And again, to set expectations, I wouldn't want to detract away from what we're trying to show off. We're trying to hide clues in there. Like, tomorrow is very much just a case of, hey, look, have a look at, it's a Starport tour with Samantha Marsh. Super cool. Just to go through and be like, look, hey, this is the actual Starport, how it will look in the game. Actually, in the game, it probably look better than what it does, and it looks great anyways. But just to go through and sort of give people an idea of how these places work in uncut footage. So it's just, I think it's 7.5 minutes of just walking it through. I can't remember the name of the station, but I think it's Coriolis, but I can't remember the name of the station. But just walking through it, having a look around, seeing how they the sort of sights and sounds and what the various different areas do. There's a couple of areas which we don't visit, and it's not for no reason. It's not like, oh, it's not there, it's not working. It literally, because the brief that was given was, we want someone to turn up, go into the station, pick up, speak to some mission givers, buy a ship, and then go to the ship and take off. So, and they do that, and they sort of walk around different areas, but they do miss off two areas really that I would have wished they'd sort of gone into the room and shown, but it's part of me is kind of like, it's kind of cool they didn't, because then you'll get to see it when you get to play it yourself. And one of the areas, which is Vista Genomics, is a really cool room where you hand in your genetic samples and stuff. But it's a really nice room with all holographic boards and stuff all around it, and it looks super, super nice. Like, what they've done is really cool, and not just look, it's the sounds as well. So I won't be talking over it or something. We'll just play the footage because I want people to hear like the ambient noises and stuff. That actually are all taking place in the game as you play it.
We've gone a little bit over the time that you've given me.
No worries, no dramas. You're making time for me, so it's appreciated.
Thank you very much. I am cautiously optimistic for what we're going to get, and I there are some parts and aspects of what I've seen of Odyssey that make me excited to have fun in the new area with the new mechanics, and that is something that I'm looking forward to. And I wanted to thank you for obviously injecting your own narrative and everything like that. I'd like to thank you for listening to us when we talk. I get the distinct impression that a good chunk of the time that we are heard, but it is nice to talk about it and reaffirm that and get acknowledgement and everything like that. I want to thank you for taking the time out to be with us today. Thank you very much.
No, you're more than welcome. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for allowing me to come and talk at you, because I feel I've rambled a bit. But thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. You do understand that people are going to be ripping apart this video for all types of clues and everything like that. Anyway, it's going to be great.
I know. It happens all the time. And that's why I get in trouble, because I say stuff and they're like, "Did you say this?" And I'm like, "I don't know, did I?" And I'm like, I get excited. Narrative I absolutely love it. I generally think I'm probably a failed sort of story writer, but I love it. I love to get excited. I see the potential in everything, and I'm like, this could be really cool. And I am going to say it. This storyline I'm working on now is it's a long one with key beats in between it, but it will crescendo this year, and I'm so excited for the end of it, because we've worked really hard as a team to put this together, and it's for all players. You don't have to have Odyssey to play it. And it was really important for me for this particular story to say, look, it's cool if you don't want to pick up Odyssey, or if you can't, you're not able to, because maybe you're a console player and it won't be until later in the year. I didn't want to exclude anyone from the story, so that this story is for everyone, and I'm really excited for it.
Very cool. Do you have a few minutes to answer questions from the audience? Just a few.
I can try.
All right. Could you ask him, please, if they expected the way how fleet carriers affected the economy, or will there be adjustments that pretend markets from being emptied within hours? Oh, basically, it's an economy question. Are we going to... Go ahead.
No. So around fleet carriers and economy and stuff like that, no. The answer is no. Like the true answer is no. We had no idea. Obviously, fleet carriers launched the day I joined Frontier, but I will tell you, like anything, and even like with Odyssey when it goes in, we do not know what players will do and the effect it will have. It's a massive change. And you see it with CGs, like how they are affected and the numbers we were asking for, and we get it wrong. Like we get it wrong. Sometimes the numbers are too low or too high, etc. So no, we didn't. Are we looking at commodity balancing? Yes, it's on the list. Absolutely, it's on the list. In terms of what we're doing at the moment, it's all hands to the pump on Odyssey at the moment. So a lot of the work I'm trying to work behind the scenes, the little levers I can pull, those hands aren't there at the moment. Everything is on Odyssey. So yes, economy has been shuffled radically by fleet carriers, and it is something we'll be looking at, but it's not right now.
I suspect the answer is going to be pretty much exactly the same thing, but thoughts on a Universal Olympic collector? Maybe as a reward for CG?
Cool idea. Very cool idea. Very cool idea. I know it's something I will take back and say that could we do this? There is some of this stuff that's like I'm awful at mining. Like awful. It's fun. I actually think it's fun, but I'm terrible at it. Universal Olympic would be great. One limit does everything.
Oh yeah.
And also something reminds me to buy them.
Well, I mean, we've had huge discussions on this channel about that. So why is it we can manufacture unlimited amounts of probes, but limpets are so fragile and they take up so much space? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't have all the answers.
I do have a personal question. What exactly do I have to do to get my name on a station?
Oh, wow. But I don't know. We did a competition. But that was for planets, I think. Or no, it was naming Odyssey, so it'd be a settlement. I think it'd be a settlement. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I think I've got my name in the credits. I don't think my name's in there. It might be. I don't know how that works. There was and this is true. There was an internal memo that went around and said, "Look, there's so many new places. Put your name on, but there's no guarantee you'll get picked." So I was like, "Okay." So I put my name on that sheet and I'm like, maybe I'll get picked. But I have as much chance as anyone. It's like a 1 in 500 chance, and that's working here. So how everybody else gets it, I don't know. People have got stations named after them, but it's before my time. So.
Last one, I guess. What is with us not being able to take mods off of guns?
I don't know the answer to that one. I assume, and again, look, I haven't gone through the whole engineering process. We haven't showcased that yet. and it's something I haven't had a chance to play with. But I think at the moment, Dev are trying to fine tune that process. The idea being that what they want, or we are trying to achieve, is a gameplay mechanic whereby you can't just have one weapon that does everything by just swapping attachments around, so that you don't really have to think about your mission. We want to really think about your play style and how you're going to be doing it, and fine tuning your tool set to be to your way of play, so that your weapon is super important. You can own multiple versions of a weapon with multiple sort of mod sets on it. I think it's to do with gameplay loops and longevity of the game. I also understand the frustrations of players going, well, look, I can just take a sight off and change it. That should make sense. I get it, and I feed that back. Like, it's not, I'm not sitting there going, oh no, you shouldn't be able to remove sights. I am sitting there going, no, I get it. Like, it's a valid comment.
Yeah. All right. I'm not going to do the Amazon Prime call out right now. That's not the right thing. Crispy wants you to increase module storage. Yeah, but that's Crispy. He can ask on his own channel. I'm kidding. Permit locked regions. I mean, we kind of talked about that. You guys got plans for them, but you can't really say anything. All hands on Odyssey. There's no new information, etc., etc. I think we're pretty much good. Arthur, thank you very much for joining me today. I do appreciate it.
No, you're more than welcome. Thanks for having me, man.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm just going to probably sign off here. I think we all got to digest that a little bit. You have a wonderful day, everyone. Yeah, and I will see you on Friday. Let's go find someone to raid. Arthur, do you have anyone in particular you want raided?
Oh, wow. I don't know. Who's streaming? Do we look together?
Let's look together. Let's do this together.